catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.
See, let me tell you, if you live in a place like Lagos, you'll understand that timing is everything, and a spa can just be all you need for a lifetime. Just like the person who found out that gala and soft drinks can be sold in traffic jams in a city where traffic itself is a culture. I mean, you spend at least 5 hours on the road every day if you don't work from home, at home, or around your home. If you have nothing to do with remote working and you stay in Lagos today, my message for you is to seize the moment. This timing thing is actually a general thing. It's a general rule, guys. So that you don't think it's not just a Lagos thing, right? Like we're all repping Lagos, let's get it. Especially for those who live in major cities where life seems to be on a jet, like Joburg, Nairobi, Cairo. It's a general rule. If I don't mention Accra now, my Ghanaian drivers won't allow me rest. I'm not sure what's gonna happen after I finish. If you did notice what I did there, you're an evil genius. I'm Tony. Welcome to my side of tech, starting you out with Florida's My House. Yeah? Thank you.
Stick around on Tony's Tech Side.
Okay, now, so let's get straight to the word of the day. What's the tech word for today? Learn a tech word? Yours truly. Satellite. That's the word. Now, we always hear satellite. Depends. You hear satellite dish, satellite communication, satellite phones. And now with Elon Musk and other rich people, pressuring us with Starlink and the rest of them, you most likely need to understand what a satellite is. You can also refer to it as an artificial satellite. So, simple terms, any object that is intentionally placed in orbit that's around the Earth or in outer space, a bit far from the Earth but still around the Earth, and it's moving with the force that the Earth moves with, right? Yes, satellites can be used for different things, right? For communication, it can be used. See all this weather forecasting that's done? Yes, it's usually a satellite that, gives an image to certain persons, and they can predict or say, oh, this machine can tell you, oh, it's going to rain today, it's going to rain in the next 7 days, it's going to rain in the next 1 week. And then sometimes too, when we're going to have droughts or when we would have locust infestation, all of these things, because like those machines with big cameras can see those things when they're still far away or just before they hit you, they can forecast that, oh, something like this is going to happen. And also navigation, GPS, when you use your Uber, your Bolt, your InDriver, your Lagos Ride, whatever you use, even when you use your Google Maps, as simple as saying, oh, I'm moving from here to, Alausa, from here to point A to point B. And you're like, oh, there's a lot of traffic here. Okay, that is navigation. That is GPS. And that is because you have satellites. Yes, exactly. Same thing can be used for broadcasting, for research, Earth observation. Okay, so there was a time I had a show that was on predicting weather conditions, right? So when they observe the Earth and they find out that those satellites, they send pictures to people here on Earth and they see that, oh, this is a pattern, right? So when there is dust by this time and there is rain by this time, this comes next, right? The next time they see it, the next time they watch it again, they keep doing that, and then they can now say that, oh yes, they can predict that this will happen in the next 2 minutes, in the next 2 seconds, in the next 2 years, in the next 1 year. Exactly. Also, and this is like, some gray areas, there are also military uses to satellites. So people can send messages that are encrypted, like they can send ZWYGMEY, and you'll be like, what exactly are they saying? So those messages are messages that only themselves, like they alone, can understand. And also they can send it over a secure network. So do you know that most of like the messages you send and the calls you make are like over this technology, and ordinarily anybody can intercept it because it's it's exchange, right? You go from one point to another, somewhere in between, someone can intercept it and see the message. Now there are some ways you can use the satellite to remove that. You won't be exchanging over the same route or over the same path that everybody's exchanging through, and this is what most people use to share intelligence and share information, like the military guys. Exactly. Also, this is like when you're doing rockets, when you're launching rockets into, like outer space and things like that. It's really, really useful for you to be able to monitor how to launch it, when to launch it, because the satellites that are already there would let you know how to get it done. Now, there's another gray area, there's another gray side. Since the first satellite was launched by America, it will be Explorer 1, and this is me going into the rubbles of tech history today. Today, in 1958, the first American satellite successfully launched into orbit. This mission followed first two satellites the previous year, which was Russia, before known as Soviet Union, Sputnik 1, and then the Sputnik 2 before the Cold War space race began between the two nations, that's Russia and America, and that has continued even up until like now. These satellites, you can automatically on your own, which a lot of private people are doing now, launch very small size satellites into orbit or into outer space. And it's an issue of concern right now because people feel that it will get to the point where outside the Earth, that's in space, there'll be a lot of things that are revolving around Earth, moving around Earth, that will become like dirt. Now we have over 20,000 satellites that have been launched by different people, and this is talking, a lot of radio signals clashing and things like that. And there are even some people who are looking at cleaning up the debris in space. That's the ones that are no longer useful. How do we get them back to Earth? Because these things have metals, they have cameras, they have ions, they have all sorts of things in them. And let's not say that something may go wrong, but what if something goes wrong and then a certain force drives them back into Earth? Well, God forbid, right? God forbid, it will never happen. Okay, let's get straight into tech history for today. So, digging deep into the rubbles of tech today, 50 years ago on this day, a certain ape called Ham the chimp traveled into outer space. Can you beat it? You have not even traveled outside Nigeria, and an ape has already gone out. Let me rest today. Okay, so Ham was named after he actually survived the flight, because the first animal to go out was a dog, and the dog died. That was in Sputnik 2. This was the first ape to actually fly into space. And then note that when I say ape, I do not mean monkey. I mean chimpanzees, gorillas, and even human beings are known as apes. So the guy don't represent all of us, Sha. No wala. Not me, I mean all of you. Right? When I come back, I'll share with you what's happening, what's hot. For those who use iPhones, you're going to be spending more money from February 13, but I'll let you know when I return.
You're listening to Tony's Tech Side.
Okay, we're starting the gist today. The juiciest tech stories on the continent of Africa in Nigeria. Yes, that's how we start. The federal government in Nigeria says that it intends to process at least 2 million international passports between January and May 2023. I saw. The last time I was in the immigration office in 2022, I know how tasking and stressful it was to actually get an international passport. And I would have just let Lillian, come to the mic now, but man, oh my God, it's really not easy to get. So some people say in Nigeria that everything is difficult, right? You're in Nigeria, you're a Nigerian, you want to get your identification number, something that says you're a Nigerian, right? A citizen. It's difficult. Okay, there's an issue with your name. The person, the officer in charge, right? Who registered you somehow made an issue, changed old to you. And names are very touchy things for us. We go back and we're like, oh, my name was wrong, spelled wrongly. And you're like, oh, you're going to take this, you're going to go through this process, go through this, blah, 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 blah. And it's a very, very long process. Or, I haven't still been able to sit with the fact that you have to pay for your details to be changed, right? I know there will be costs, but then can it be as affordable and cheap as possible? So 2 million, possible or not possible? The government said that the Nigeria Immigration Service (NIS) processed about 1.9 million international passports in 2022. That's an 80% increase when compared to 2021, when they only printed just about 1 million copies. So Lillian just walked in again. And hi, Lillian. Lillian, what do you think about NIS saying they're going to process nothing less than 2 million international passports from now till May 2023? What do you think? Possible, not possible? Seeing that it was stressful for you, to do it. I think it was just yesterday. What do you think?
2 million between when and when?
January to May 2023. And we're done with January. Today is 31st of January.
I think it's possible because if you see the crowd last month and I think 2 months ago, they were not accepting new registrations and they were accepting online registrations. And I guess,
Couldn't go in for capturing.
yeah, you couldn't go on for capture. And then they have this agent thing. This agent thing, nothing we'll talk about. So, but the amount of people that are ready to leave the country, you go there, you see a large family, extended family, all going to do international passport, something that they don't even care about. Like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, nobody cared about their international passport. Do you have a passport? No. Why? I don't need it now.
I don't need it.
But you see families taking their newborn. For a family to take a newborn for capturing, just know that those people are ready to leave the country. So lots of Nigerians are ready.
The last time that I checked, I wanted to see if there was a difference, if there was a relationship between getting your passports and the desire to leave the country. And I said, oh, Google, please, what is the meaning of an international passport? Why would someone want to get an international passport? And they're like, oh, it's a means of identification from one country when you're traveling from one country to another. In my mind, it was just hashtag Japa, nothing more than that.
Okay, so I'm not like having any initial, like any plan right now to leave the country.
But it's a desire.
But you have to be ready. Previous years, if somebody says, Lillian Alpha, there's one kini, we're ready. Are you ready? Do you have a passport? I say no. And I've missed the opportunity. So for some, and the sum is like 2%, they just want to have it. For others, in fact, the only thing that is left is the passport for them and their families.
Plans are already made.
The plans are already made. So, and back to your question, it depends though on the efficiency of this immigration. When I went there yesterday, oh my God, they were so slow. I stood outside for an hour and a half. So people have been there since 6 a.m. I just went by 9. In my mind, I was like, okay, when I get in, I'll just go inside and they'll say, sit down here. But I just started laughing. They were like, why are you laughing? I said, this is not what I envisaged at all. Right? So that is that. The snail-like nature. It was towards the end, towards 3, 4, that someone just said, let me do this myself. And I thought to myself, oh, you know that you can do this yourself.
You have the energy for
You
this.
have the energy.
So you can do it.
But you were faffing. You were just walking. It was really upsetting. It was upsetting. No. So if they use that snail pace, it's not going to be achievable.
Wait, so do you think this 2 million is even like them just playing safe? Because you could actually do more than 2 million.
Okay, if we look at the amount we had yesterday,
And that's just
there
one
were
center in Lagos.
just one center. That was a Lausa for 9 a.m. capturing. The crowd there are more than 100. So if you say 9 a.m. 100, 12, that's noon 100, and you say times the centers in Lagos, it is very
centers in
Nigeria. Okay, it is. I think they are downplaying this because they know that they are snail-like. They work like snails. So I think they have actually downplayed it because they don't want to over-promise and give or whatever it is. So I think it's possible, but they can do more.
How seamless was the online process itself?
It was so seamless. You just fill forms and pay. And I was like, okay, is this how it is? Wow, everything is going to be amazing until I realized that they have a preference for those who used agents. Who are these agents? They'll say, did you go through an officer? So it is these officers.
Okay.
These people. I am.
She already mentioned officer.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not. I know they fear anybody.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not scared. So these officers, they receive higher amount of money. In fact, somebody went down to court, tried to, just cut the line, and I asked how much. He came back, was like, I know if you do this thing. I said, how much? They say I should pay 15K. I said,
For something that costs how much?
To
like
do your
whole,
capturing
like
is
everything.
nothing. To do your capturing itself is nothing. But they wanted to
payments online.
Okay, payment online is 25,000 plus 1,000 naira for something, so it's 26K, right? But then if you're trying to fast track it, it's going to be more than that.
Nigerians are living in.
But you see this fast tracking.
lane.
A lot of people have paid for fast tracking. They still wait the exact time. The only thing they don't get through is that stress I went through yesterday. They don't sit for hours, stand for hours. No, you just say, oh, my agent is this, or I did it through officer kini kini come, and they'll attend to you. That is the only thing that makes, for some, or for others. Somebody on my status said 3 weeks you get your international passport. I was like, oh really?
Like, wait, hold on, the whole process.
Oh yes.
Like, it just starts today, and in 3 weeks you get it.
Really.
Ah.
So
There's some things.
I said, you think that we are on the same level? Like, you go into an environment and you feel like, okay, we are all Nigerians, but just people pass people.
We're all animals, but some animals are not animals. Animals.
It was very tedious yesterday night. Don't want to go through that again. After everything, I did not still finish. You know, it was really annoying.
That's like a totally different story.
That is a totally different story. And the thing that the story of why I didn't finish was just an overzealous officer back in 2014, 2015. I went to register my name. He told me, you are Igbo, so you know this correct spelling of my name. And I was so, I don't know, I was naive. And I said, okay, I didn't know that to come and hunt me.
So she gave you a new name.
Gave me he.
Oh, I thought you said she.
I said he.
I wanted to paint it. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Let me off her mic now at this point. Thank you, Lillian. You can go. Lillian is shading. Lillian has added the heat to the shade. So thank you very much, Lillian. Thank you. So you see, it's very possible that NIS. I actually thought that this was them over-promising, but with what I've heard from Lillian, it's possible that they're actually under-promising. And at the end of the day, we'll all clap for them and say, wow, you're able to achieve 2-point-something million. Meanwhile, there are lots of people who applied and it didn't get through. So the actual thing should be maybe saying 90% or 80% of the total number of applications, right? That should be something more closer to say this is good. But if we're setting at 2 million, what if 10 million people apply? It means we're not doing even up to 50% of total applications. Well, it's all good. It's all fine. With this right now, the service will be processing 2.9 million passports in 2 years, 2021, 2022. If we add 2023, just about half of it, we'll be doing 2 million, which is like what they did in about 2 years. While it is good and it is fine that we've made progress, and I think one of the things that have made this to like really improve and the numbers have increased is because they actually adopted like the online thing. I was on when Ralph Argbeshola announced it and I was like, yes, go guy. And for like 6 months, they frustrated his efforts. Did he not? Okay, Lillian is walking in again. So at first, it wasn't online, right? It wasn't online.
It wasn't.
And then Ralph Argbeshola, because they had I think over 500,000 applications that had not been attended to, passports that were not collected, something with machine getting spoiled, the cards had to be printed outside Nigeria, things like that, right? And
ridiculous reasons, by the way.
Yeah, and then he said, you know what, we're going to clear them out in 3 months or something like that, and now introduced online method. And then a lot of people were still saying, don't worry, online, it will not work. But then I think it's worked and it's actually done us more good than harm.
It has done us more good, right? But if they would not treat online applicants as castaways just because we decided to do things the right way, we don't want to do fast track. We say, okay, this certain man said that he has put these measures in place. Let us utilize it. And everything is online these days.
Do you know, at a point, it was actually announced that you should do everything online.
And just go there for capturing.
So it's at a point, it was supposed to put an end to anything physical, carrying of file and all of those things.
But you know that it actually still happens online. But who?
Okay. So it's not the person behind.
Yes, exactly.
So this defeats the purpose of doing it online then. Because the whole idea was, you can just do it yourself on your phone, on your laptop.
You can. But I don't like stress.
The rights and giving it to the other person.
Because I'm a fly guy. I'm a fly girl. I don't want stress, right? And I want my international passport to be ready in 2 days. But let me tell you, all these people that will promise you, well, it depends on who you know, Sha. They will but they'll promise you that it will be ready in 2 seconds. But you still wait. Do you know how you know that you have been scammed? When the wait time, when I registered mine in November, I got the first date. I actually went for the first open date. That was on the 30th of January, right? That was yesterday. So from November, I waited throughout December, nothing. January, till the end of January, right? If you who did fast tracking are still waiting that same Period. Just know that your money, you just threw it to the wind. Unless you are one of the people that will tell you, I don't like stress, I don't want to go and start queuing up.
So you just chill at home.
You chill at home, and then but you still be there. You'll be there because you have to physically capture, but it might not go through all the stress. But
So someone just
how will you know?
you in and
Yes, but how will you know who is who? How will you know if you're giving money to the right person? Just do it yourself. There's nothing there. But now where I walked in is I have this fear because sometimes crazy things just pops in my head. I was reading the news the other day, and about 500 and something people renounced their citizenship of Nigerian citizenship. They didn't say, I want another citizenship, I want another.
Are you serious?
They literally said, see this country, I am divorcing you, I'm done with you.
We're done.
We are done. I'm cutting ties with you. So it was disheartening. And then they gave us a number of people who actually left the country, either relocated or just went to school or work. I know if I go to school in that country, I'm hustling my stay there. So what I'm scared of is that these people realize that all the skilled workers in this country are leaving. Nigeria is left with, some people who, well, it will help some people. I'm not going to say that Nigerians are left with unskilled workers, but but Nigeria is losing talent in a nutshell. So what if these people wake up one morning and say, because of this, we're going to frustrate the efforts of those who want to leave the country? And how can we start by that? We'll start by, I hope I'm not putting ideas.
That's what I'm thinking now.
But that is my fear. It is very possible to happen because Nigeria can be petty as a country. The government is, I'm serious. I had this friend who wanted to go into this line of business. Before he could start, he had already purchased everything, licensed everything. They always call it policy. They put a policy in place, he lost everything. He went to another one. He was doing that successful. They put a policy. Just like whenever they see any place that your shine will come from, they'll go there and block it. Honestly, until the guy had it up to you and left the country because he could not continue in this kind of place again. So I just hope I'm not putting thoughts in mind, but that is my fear, honestly.
So this ties us to the next thing I want to talk about, which is the fact that the PVC, I know like Lillian has been a big proponent of that too. PVC collection extension in Nigeria too. That's one of the things I wanted to share. And the Naira notes. Okay, so I want to talk about Naira notes first. I'll talk about the PVC last. But I've talked about PVC already. So February 5th for PVC collection, and I think February 12th for the old Naira notes exchange.
10.
With the new. Is it 10 or 12?
10.
10.
Yes.
Okay, so 10.
That's what I saw though.
Okay, so 10th of February it is for exchange of the old and the new Naira notes. Please and please. Lina, do you have a word to say?
I have.
I know you would.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with somebody concerning different things that happen in the country. When NIN started, I'm going back to NIN. I think when I was hearing the buzz about it, I had, okay, I have to have my national identification number. I was in school then. And myself and my friend, we went to Government House, Anambra. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be Government House.
We went there, it was a very hot day, and that's the day I chose to wear leather. That was a very wrong move. So, but I suffered all through that. I went into the office, although they messed it up, but that was when I did it. There was no crowd. I did it. When the voters thing started, people will wait until the deadline. Just because you're not paying for these things. You're not going to pay. We're not going to pay much anyway. It depends on where you go, because in this country, we didn't do ourselves. But we don't take things seriously. I think Nigerians are not patriotic. I understand that government this, government that. But you literally have to put like a weapon in some people's head to say, hey, go and do this. Or if you put a deadline and say, if you don't do this, you will not. Okay, if you don't get your NRN, your SIM will be bad. Woo, my SIM cannot be bad. I run and I start queuing up. Right? PVCs. If you go to a center now, you might not see anybody there because they have this idea in their mind that, I'm going to wait for 10 years, 200 years. So we like duress in this country. You complain that things are not working, they put things in place, you ask for an extension. They extended need how many times? They always ask for extension, but you know that day of the extension, they will ask for that extension. So my thoughts with this would be that yes, we have been bastardized as a people, right? If I find a Nigerian who is not suffering from PTSD, which is caused by Nigeria, right? I'm very sure that I would like look at that person again and again and again, and I put the person under scrutiny again, and I'm like, how did you do it? Show me way.
Because I have a feeling that every Nigerian who's lived in Nigeria over a period of 4 to 8 years already has PTSD from a lot of things every day, every hour. And if we're going to put anything in place at all, we should make ample provisions. If something that happened to you happens to you again, it reinforces the PTSD you have. It makes it worse and makes it bad and makes it work like harder for you to come out of it. Right? So we can only make steps, to correcting issues that happened before. And this is me saying, see, if we say we're going to exchange Naira notes, let's give people ample time, right? And let's put in effort into awareness. If we say we're doing PVC, let's put effort into awareness and make the time long enough for everybody. If you just put a time, say 1 year, 2 years, go and collect PVC, and there's no effort whatsoever, as the efforts are being intensified now, organizations, people go to churches, everywhere, put in the effort, put in the pressure, and then people start, that whole PTSD people used to have, it starts going off little by little. But if you say people, you will not do anything until you put a gun to their head, and you keep putting a gun to their head, keep putting a gun, it gets to the point where, man, guys will just explode and there'll be nothing left. Like, that's basically what I think. And I think we can correct like that with, it's mental, right? It's psychological. We can also make moves to correct it, and it's not going to be a 1 day thing. It's not going to be a 2 day thing. It's going to be like something that will take years to correct, because it took years to get people as deep into this. I can't say the word SH on radio, but as deep as that, right? That's what I think.
Yeah, and people should go and get the PVCs. PVC is not just for identification. It's not just some people just have their voter's card for identity. Oh, do you have a national identity? Yes, but I have my voter's card. That is not what it's there for. It is there for you to vote. Somebody said today that that he's scared of election. I was like, oh really? Are you kidding me? You're scared of election? You don't want to vote? But I think you're enjoying Nigeria then. I mean, you shouldn't complain about anything. On my way here, I was with a group of people who were complaining about Nigeria, complaining about the economy. And I said, if you don't vote, how will you change? So they said, God will take control. I said, well, God, the control is in your hands.
How about the problem?
Yes, if you don't vote, you're still voting. So come out and vote. Your vote does not count, it counts. Come out on that day. But how will you come out and vote if you don't have your PVC? So go out and get it. Don't what is it now? Everything government. It's not all the time that the government is. In fact, now we do ourselves. I'm telling you, most times, but government still, they do their own shit. Anyway.
Thank you very much, Lillian. As Nigerians always say, Nigeria is in the hand of God. John Bellion, hand of God.
At Africa Tech Radio,
We believe that information is at the heart of development.
get it.
Get informed.
Africa Tech Radio.
Okay, so we're done with all of the complaining, right? And we've moved on, just like, the regular Nigerian. Okay, I have not moved on. Now, those who are invested in the election should hear this. If you're a media person, then it means you would need to apply. If you're a media house, you need to apply, because they've already started taking applications for those who are going to cover the elections. And at the same time, right, as part of a scheduled mock voter accreditation exercise for 4th February to test the biometric voter accreditation system, the BVAS. Yes, that's the one everyone is talking about before it's fully deployed for the general elections on 25th of February. INEC has started testing, and we hope that, there really aren't any issues after all of these tests. And they're not the only ones who's testing an ID system that has to do with elections. Liberia's National Elections Commission, NEC, has begun a trial voter registration exercise to test the functionality, that's if it's working, their biometric voter registration equipment, and also to train their personnel on what to be expected of them during the real exercise. And now this just made me remember, not the INEC now, but this time the, what's it called now, head count. Yeah, it's happening in February or in March, immediately after the elections. I would give you more details, maybe later on, maybe sometime this week. Something that's really important too that's happening today is Angola's president, João Lourenço, who inaugurated the country's first satellite mission control center called MCC in Fonda in Luanda. The MCC is capable of operating 3 satellites simultaneously at the same time and will be used to monitor the activity of the AngoSat-2, which was launched on 12th of October 2022. This reminds me of NICOMSat-1. I was alive, yes, but I was awake all through the night to watch the launch of NICOMSat-1, and it was really big when it comes to things I remember from my childhood. Now let's drive all the way to Kenya from Angola where the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, the very popular CBK, the CBK that all fintechs on the continent are afraid of, yes, they've granted operating licenses to 12 more digital credit providers called DCPs, and now the total number of digital credit providers in Kenya is 22. Although the CBK says that it has received 381 applications since March 2022, and more of these money lenders, in quotes, digital money lenders, are at various stages of getting a license. Many of these digital money lenders have complained that the bank is delaying the process. Just imagine, since last year, April 2022, over 300 applications received, and they only were able to get like 10 out last year, and this is January. And just because of the most recent complaints that came, 12 more have just been accredited, and it brings the number to 22. Now, this review of digital credit markets came after several complaints from consumers over the alleged misuse of private data by lenders, and since late 2022, Google also made it mandatory for loan apps that appear on the Play Store in Kenya to first acquire licenses from the Central Bank of Kenya before anything else. So what's the list? Now the list includes Ceres Tech Limited, GetCash, Giando, Jijenge, Kweli, Inventure, Jumo, Lechigo, MFS, I know MFS, M-Kopa, and Wanzo Credit Limited. So if you've ever been called by a loan app before, hello, Mr. OK, your brother or someone from your contacts, do you know Mr. So, and you're like, yes, Mr. ABC, I know Mr. ABC. Oh, he's actually owing us 2,000 naira, and if he doesn't do it by this thing will be like all of that harassing. People usually sign up for it, but one of the questions we're also asking in the reports we're doing, an AI and human rights reports that we're working on right now, that's going to be released in February 2023. Yes, one of the things we're also working on is if these things are legal, if they can actually go into your contacts and get your contact, your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, anyone you submit to them, and call them up and harass them so that you can pay. Is it really legal? Should it be legal if it's legal? These are like very, very important questions that we're asking. But then Kenya has started asking those questions before the rest of Africa asks those questions. Most of these things are highly illegal in, say, Europe and Asia. But then most of these persons who have these companies come down here, set up shop, and then begin to do these things that are somehow illegal. I don't want to say more than that. So I'll come back one more time, wrap up my show, and that'll be all for today.
Africa Tech Radio.
Your plug for all things tech.
Okay, so I didn't want to do this, but I just have to do it. It's the last day in the month of January, and the love month, according to what they say, is like around the corner. Have you found your love? I mean, the love of your life. If you don't already have a love of your life. For those who are like us, like still on the streets, well, we will just move on to the next juiciest story in tech. But for those who have found theirs, this is a reminder that this is the month. Okay, not like exactly today, but the next time we're talking like this, we're going to be the month of love. Oh, okay. Now, scratch that. Let's move on. Serious life, yeah? Now, for those who have an iPhone, prices are going to shoot up very soon. Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, the United Kingdom, and other countries. They're not, like African countries, so they really don't matter to me right now. But from February 13, these changes are coming, and these changes will be implemented. Why? Because taxes are going up and foreign exchange rates. Yes, dollar the rise. Dollar the rise. Naira the rise. I don't know whether Naira the rise. Anyways, rand, dollar. It's just mad when it comes to foreign exchange rates. For those who deal in foreign exchange, person will get money, now they do foreign exchange. If you don't get money, it don't concern you. So back in December 2022, Apple announced plans to provide developers with an additional 700 price points for App Store apps. And this would allow for more variation in the App Store pricing, and apps will be able to be priced as low as 29 cents to as high as $10,000. And these changes are set to be implemented for all apps in 2023. That's later in 2023. But from February, guys, how did they say it? Bera, right? Like, just get prepared, basically. Things are going to change. Now, something else that I was talking about all through 2021, and I think 2022, early 2023, was the AFCFTA. Like, if you know me and if you've been around me, AFCFTA, it got to the point where, like, anytime I just appear and I'm like, Like every other person in my team will just say FCFT, AFCFTA. Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. I'm not sure I got it. Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AFCFTA agreement. So it's the agreement where all African countries, not all, but 55 or 53 of the 55 countries agreed to do business. What does this mean, that they haven't been doing business? Well, technically they have not been doing business, because just about 5 countries till date are countries that actually do business with themselves here on the continent. We do more business or businesses with people outside Africa than we do with ourselves. You find out that borders are usually a problem, just like Buhari did in Nigeria at a point when he closed the borders of Nigeria. And this is like the issue across the continent. Instead of Africans doing business with Africans are doing business with Asians, Americans, Europeans, and they close their doors. So instead of selling cashew and selling crude oil to other African countries, they're doing that business with others outside, and it's bad for the continent. Now, 3 major regional blocs in Africa have been begging Tanzania, South Sudan, and DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, where the Catholic Pope is visiting this week, to sign up a trade agreement that will expand their reach. According to a new report, African countries remain the lowest globally. Just 5 out of 55 countries are actually trading with themselves within the continent. Now, the African market, according to what people have said, is worth 1.2 billion people strong. Now, why aren't Africans trading with Africans? Why aren't Nigerians trading with Nigerians? Why do we have South Africans and not trading with South Africans? Well, according to the latest Mo Ibrahim Index report 2022, my guy Chagozie actually pointed me to that report, and that report was on African governance. It showed that government's wavering commitment to open the continent through improved transport network infrastructure, reduce restrictions on free movement of persons and labor have actually affected trade within the country. And it's gotten to the point where if you want to buy something from the US, it's way cheaper than when you want to buy it from South Africa or from Kenya or from Uganda. And they're just, like one flat away, literally one flat away, just like, like across the fence. Okay. So I have something like a very, very short piece on what exactly the focus areas of the AFCFTA is, and it's from the SSA to the president on AFCFTA. I want you to listen to it, and I think it will make sense that you hear what the person has to say before, I close up for the day.
From all the conversations we've had with stakeholders and all the studies and so on we've done, we've pretty much narrowed down some 5 key elements or pillars to focus on to make sure that we take advantage of the AFCFTA. And one is about building viable economic communities. In this area, it's about building production or service clusters. So when I say production, I mean both goods and services. Building clusters on one hand, but also producing at scale to sell in Africa. And the second element is having a highly productive workforce. It's about developing or having available the workforce to support those production clusters on one hand. But on the other hand, it's about developing the workforce that can support businesses all across the continent. The third thing is about infrastructure. And infrastructure, there are 3 key elements. One element is power. The second element is trade logistics from our roads, airports, and ports, but also warehouses and cold facilities for perishable goods and all of that. But the third element is quality, having that quality infrastructure that will ensure that you are able to export those products to other countries. And the fourth one, business-friendly environment. And that you have the policies, yes, but it's also making it easy, promoting transparency. And there's a lot that can be done through technology. Even being able to pay your taxes, being able to pay your permits, being able to communicate with your government seamlessly and very easily are all part of ease of doing business. And the fifth one is about a strong brand. And she rightly mentioned cities. So yes, at the central level, we will be building a national brand. So these are the 5 elements that we have identified.
Africa Tech Radio.
So that is Francis Anatogo, SSA to the president. When we asked him what exactly are the key elements, like what makes up this AFCFTA, why is this AFCFTA really important? Now, considering the fact that Europe, Asia, the Americas have like 66%, 63%, and 44% respectively when it comes to doing business with themselves, right? We should do a lot better. Guy, 5 countries only. Come on, man. That's really weakening. Now, the report by Mo Ibrahim, which was released last week, shows that, just 5 countries in Africa are trading within the continent, and we need to improve our security, our road network, things that have been affected by COVID-19, payment system. Jeez. Okay, so I had a show last year too. This was me really following up with AFCFTA last year. I had a show last year on how people can pay from one country to another in Africa seamlessly. And that technology just came into being just last year. But it seems like this is January and everyone has just decided to relax. This is literally a wake-up call to everyone. If we work together, we can achieve a whole lot more. For those countries who were still begging to jump on the AFCFTA train, guys, please, let's just make this work. Now, this is tied to, like what I would, finally finish up with, which is, I didn't make this up. This just shows how important it is when we work together, what exactly we can achieve. Now, I'm not the one who, wrote this down. I did not make this up. But what if I told you that you can actually sit in your car, not drive? It's not a driverless, but it's your brain literally driving the car instead of your hands. See, guys, no need to position your hands on the steering wheel to drive. All you have to do is put your mind to work. You know how they usually say it? Put your mind to work, put your mind to it. If you set your mind to it, you'll get it done. What if it was possible that if you set your mind to writing, the barrel will just pick itself and start writing? Well, that's not what I'm saying. But this is real, right? What if the car executes your brain's commands? AI, ChatGPT, and all of these things, they may just be real. So scientists at Germany's Free University, the innovators that are behind this brain-powered car idea. So how does it work? A high-tech helmet is linked to the onboard computer, and it kind of displays like a cube on the screen, and then you can manipulate this cube with your thought processes, right? You can use your head and say turn right, it will turn right, turn left, it will turn left. And what does he use? Biological signals as the patterns. Now the driver, meaning the driver in your mind, can pilot the car to drive in any direction. You can accelerate, you can brake, you can do whatever you want to do. This may just be the beginning of what exactly we can use our brains to do. I mean, brain-powered computing. There's also noise about AI now and how it's going to work. What if our brains, yes, I know our brains are more powerful than AI, but what if our brains could do almost half the work of what we're relying on AI to do right about now? But please don't get too giddy just yet. They say that this invention is just a proof of concept experiment and they will not be speeding into action anytime soon. Please, I use my mind to control their mind, and I say please speed into action right about now so that people don't have to. But then some people's minds are crazy. We'll still have accidents, so it's fine. Let's do away with it, yeah? Okay, so this is me saying bye-bye to the rest of January and hello to the beginning of February. I'll see you again tomorrow, 9 a.m. GMT plus 1, and hold it down till about midday GMT plus 1. Extravaganza Sauti Sol saying bye-bye from this end of Tech Today.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.